Hey, I'm Joanna, and today I want to share with you why I no longer set goals in the traditional way. I no longer do the usual goal setting stuff. And what I do instead, I want to share with you the process that I have come up with for myself that really helps me set myself up for a really good year, you know, what that means to me. So essentially, I don't do traditional goal setting anymore because I find it too stressful, too shallow, and in the end, ineffective. I definitely did it for a long time, and elements of it still tend to creep in. Like, I think it's really easy to get caught up in the New Year frenzy and to think that you're behind if you're not already like achieving major things by January 10th. But I do try and remind myself that that is not good for me, that that doesn't feel good, and in the end, it doesn't work. So I used to set these big goals like everybody else or like people tell you to do. And I found that either I'd forget about them by February or I'd put my head in the sand because they were just too vague or too big and I didn't really know what to do with them. Sometimes they were goals that I didn't really want, but I thought I should want. How many times have I put lose weight on my list for the new year? And I've come to the conclusion over the years that that's not actually something that I want to achieve, not something that's really important to me. Now, being healthy is important to me, and that is now part of what I try to help myself do during the course of a year is to get healthier in various ways. But the weight loss goal that came with every January 1st and then subsequently with every Monday is now off my menu. So what would happen is I would put on these goals that were either too big or were not really mine. And then I'd either naturally forget about them or purposely forget about them because I didn't want to actually spend time on them. And I'd end up just transferring the same things over to my list for the following year. And it brought around a lot of stress and a lot of judgment and a lot of like self-criticism, that I wasn't doing the things that I thought I wanted to do or that I was saying I was intending to do. And I wasn't enjoying my life. I wasn't enjoying the process of creating better things for myself in my life because they weren't the right things or I wasn't specific enough or I was just putting on too much pressure on myself. So over the years, I've experimented with lots of different things. I've done lots of different productivity challenges and used lots of different tools. And I've come up with a system that really works for me. And I wanted to share it with you because I think even if you don't take the whole thing, I think there's some really nice elements that each of us could benefit from. So, before we get into the actual steps that I do every year now to set myself up for a really good year in the context of what that means to me, I just want to remind you that no matter how you're feeling right now and where you are with your planning, with your goal setting, with your intention setting, with whatever you do for a new year, for a new cycle, you are not behind. So, as I said, it's really easy to get caught up in that new year frenzy. And in a lot of productivity circles, we're told that we need to be done by January 1st, right? So, like, all our goals need to be set, and we have to have a plan for Q1 broken down step by step. And essentially, by the time the new year actually starts, we're meant to be like jumping back into things and hustling our way to goal achievement. So it's easy to get caught up in that. So if you have gotten caught up in that, that's totally fine. But I just want to remind you that that's not the only way. And I think that a more natural way with our cycles, with the earth cycles and with our natural cycles, is a softer way and a slower way. So my spirits team, Avalon, every year they remind me that the year doesn't actually start until February. And this is mirrored in a lot of traditions. So in the Celtic tradition, we have Imbolc on February 1st, which marks the start of spring, and that is considered like the new beginning, really. And the Chinese New Year doesn't start until sometime in February as well. So there's a lot of tradition behind this idea of things only really starting up in February, not in January. So we follow this logical calendar. However, naturally, I think that we don't actually get started until February, and we shouldn't expect ourselves to start moving until February. So I feel like that February start is the energetic start. That's actually when the energy shifts. And in January, we're still in this liminal space of in between. But the liminal space of in between isn't a time to like do nothing necessarily. It's a time to prepare, right? For what's coming, for the cycle that's about to start, that's slowly starting, like however you want to look at that. So that's how I approach setting myself up for the new year. And there are some specific things that I do in this liminal space so that when the energy actually shifts, I can move forward in a more focused, aligned way and in a way that really works for me towards things that I actually want. So, the first thing that I do is not set goals, but tap into dreams and wishes and hopes and all those like heart level desires. And I think this is really important. A couple of years ago, Avalon gave me the idea to record a workshop called Dreams Before Goals. And that's the process that I follow. I'll leave a link to that below if you'd like to check it out. But it essentially takes you through some prompts, through some questions to help you identify what you really, really want. Like what you really, really want, you know, what your heart desires. And I take myself through this every year. I've just finished for this year. And every year I'm surprised. Every year I kind of think, I don't really need this anymore. Like, I know how to do this. I know that I need to tap into dreams before setting my goals. But every year I do it anyway. And I always find something extra that I'd forgotten that I wanted, you know? I just don't think that we're taught and encouraged to tap into that softer side of us, and we're not really encouraged to be very honest about what it is that we really want. I don't know, maybe it's because we're taught that dreams don't come true and that wishes are silly and childish. It's just part of our culture to set like smart goals, achievable things, measurable things. And so we've kind of stopped dreaming and wishing altogether. And I think that this is a really important piece to bring back. So whether you follow my process or not, make space to ask yourself, what do you really want? What's really important to you? Like, what is your intuition saying? What does your heart want to pursue? You know, one of the ways in which the soul speaks to us is through curiosity. So, what are you curious to explore? Like, even if it makes no sense, like, what do you feel is something that you want to spend some time or energy on this year? And it doesn't have to be part of a plan or a, you know, Q1, Q2, Q3 kind of strategy that makes sense all together. Like I really think that the path to success, the path to not just success but fulfillment isn't linear, or at least isn't always all linear. And so making space for these more emotional, energetic pieces really helps you along because it makes sure that you're following the right things, that you're working towards the right things in the ways that actually are aligned with who you are and what matters to you and how your energy works. So that's the first thing I do is tap into dreams, and I give that space to find out what my heart really wants. And for this year, there's a lot of desire in me towards creativity. I'll be bringing back a lot of my intuitive art workshops. I want to create and spend time creating. And I also want to explore that link between creativity and spirituality at a deeper level because I now know that. I was able to identify some books that I want to read and some other things that I want to do around that as well. So it's been a really useful exercise just to remind myself that this is something that I really want to pay attention to and to explore this year or as part of my year, and not just follow the linear path of what I think I should be doing with my time. So after I have that, after I've done the dreaming and the wishing and the exploring of what I really want, instead of setting like a limited number of goals for the year, I make one big long list. I aim for about 100 things. I don't always get to 100 things on my list, but that's how much space I give myself. Although one year I had more than 100 things. But what I include on this list is a little bit of everything. It's literally like all the things that I would like to be part of my year in some way. And so some of those things are the more traditional goals, you know, to achieve a particular thing or to reach a particular milestone. And that could be to, I don't know, like to write a book or to start a business or to have a column in a national newspaper, like whatever it is. They don't really do newspapers anymore, do they? I'm showing my age. But you get the idea. Like those goals that we have can be part of this process, and in fact should be part of this process. Absolutely. So I include those on my big list, but I also include my dreams of what I wish could happen this year, what I hope may happen this year, what I wish could be possible for me this year. And I also include things that are less traditionally smart, but are soul smart. So the things that I want to explore. There's nothing measurable about that goal to learn more about, I don't know, more about tarot or more about astrology. Like astrology is on my list for this year. And I'm not setting a goal to like know everything or to develop a course or to become an expert or anything like that. My goal is literally to spend some time exploring this topic that's interesting to me, that's pulling me for some reason. I don't know what that reason is. I have an inkling, which I won't share with you quite yet, but I don't know exactly why it's pulling me, but I know that there's a curiosity there, and therefore I know that there's something there for me and my soul journey, my soul path. So I include those softer things as well to explore, to learn. And I include a lot of small things as well. Things like a couple of years ago, I included the fact that I wanted to get my nails done or do my nails myself more, and that I wanted to get some nail stickers. I also include things like I want to read more, or I want to read about a particular topic, or I want to take that trip to Ennis, a town not far from where I live with my husband, because we've been talking about going to Ennis for years and we just haven't managed, even though it's just like an hour away and it's just a trip for lunch and a bit of shopping. They have some really nice bookstores. So that goes on my list. It's not a goal. Like, I'm not going to feel like a total failure if I don't achieve this or, in fact, any of the things on my list. But I'm putting it there because it's one of those things that will make my life better, that will make my life what I want it to be. So I include the big things, the small things, everything in between, things that are measurable, that are not measurable, things that have a certain probability of becoming true, but also the things that are a little bit out there, but I wish could be true for me this year. So I include everything on my list. And the reason I do this, first of all, I love making lists. So if you're a list maker, this will be a really nice activity for you. Light a candle, put on some music, make a list, giant list of everything you want in your life this year. But also, it has some benefits because it includes those smaller things as well. We're not just focusing on the big goal achievement as part of our happiness. And of course, life is made up of those small things. It's made up of those small joys and small pleasures and decisions that we make about today rather than holding out for something different tomorrow. So adding those things, including those things on my list, makes sure or makes it more probable that my year will be filled with things that I really want to do, that I really enjoy doing, that I may forget that I want, or that I might not make time for otherwise. So everything goes on this list. And then what I do is every month when I do my monthly planning, which we're not going to go into in this video, but when I do my monthly planning, I do just check in with that list and see, with no pressure, but like, is there anything on that big list for the year that I want to fit in this month, or that I think I can fit in this month? And some things, when you go through the year, some things no longer feel aligned because of course you grow and you change as you go through your year, and your priorities might change as well. But it's a nice reminder, like as a snapshot of what was important as the year started. And a lot of things of course continue to be important, and it's nice to have that reminder, like, oh yeah, I wanted to go to Ennis, and this month I think I can fit that in. Let's just put that in the diary, pick a date and go. So yeah, so a big long list of everything is how I set my, it's not goals, it's more like a menu. It's It's more like a menu of things that I hope I'll fit in at some point during the year, but no pressure, and I I think the fact that I aim for 100 actually is helpful as well, because logically it's easy to just tell yourself that no way are you going to be able to do all 100. It's very, very unlikely that you'll be able to fit in all 100 things and that all 100 things will come true. So it just makes it just less pressure to have a list like that. And the last thing I do is I get guidance from spirit, from my higher self, on all those things that I want, or on how to have a really good year. Now that I've defined what a really good year would look like for me. So there are various ways in which I do this. Sometimes I get a reading from someone else. I always do a reading for myself. If you would like a reading from me, there's a link for that below as well. I have one now that's specifically related to goal achievement and the things that will help you and stand in your way. I just did that one for myself actually the other day, and it was really cool. I also do what I call a soul map. So instead of a traditional vision board, which is a collection of pictures, of images, of all the things that you may want to call into your life, which is also a great idea. Like, I'm not knocking that at all. I make what I call a soul map, which is an intuitive collage that connects you with your higher self, and through which you download guidance from your higher self, from your soul, on what's important for the year, for the coming cycle. So this is less about specific things that you want because you've identified those, right, on your list, and more about the energetics of how to move forward in a non-linear but really effective way. So when it comes to manifesting, it's a game of energy. So we want to be following certain energies. And I always believed that the soul leads us towards all those things that we want to experience, and towards, basically what we were born to experience. And so this is a way to download like an energetic essence from your soul that can guide you through the year. So I always make one for the year. I'm holding workshops on those as well soon, if you're watching this at the start of the year at least. So I'll have that link below. But I just want to show you last year's. It's really just a collage, but it holds so much wisdom for me. And I had it in a place where I could see it every day. And it really, once in a while, I really looked at it and I thought, no, I need to do this. Like, clearly the way forward is this and not this. So it did guide me forward energetically in that way. And I have to say, I had a very good year. Now, you know, I'm not saying that all your dreams or that whole list of 100 is going to come true, but it does help, to allow the soul to be part of your process. It's kind of like it gives you a piece of the puzzle. Doing an intuitive collage like this gives you a piece of the energetic puzzle. So if you want to do this, you can come to one of my workshops, obviously, but you can also simply do it on your own. Just get a bunch of magazines, get some paper, get some scissors, get some glue, and just connect in with your soul and ask for guidance and start choosing images and putting them together. And you'll see that if you follow this intuitive process rather than logically trying to find specific images of what you think you currently want, then you will have a visual reminder of the energetics to follow. So it's a really great exercise. So I do that, and I do the tarot reading, and then I feel like I have everything I need, really. I've tapped into what I really want. I've made a list of everything that's important to me, and you can add to that list throughout the year. Like, there's no deadline on that either. And sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I don't think that's on my list yet, and I add it in there, even if it is number 101, or even if it's already March. It doesn't matter. These are tools to help you have a really good year. So there are no rules to them. Yeah, and then once I have my list, I get some guidance from spirit, from my higher self, to guide me forward. And then I have all the elements, and then it's a matter of checking in with all these things during the course of the year, so that I don't forget that I have them. whatever planning system you use, just slot them into that. And that's it. That's what I do. That's what I'm doing this year. And I'm very pleased with how this feels. It feels expansive. It feels exciting. It feels joyful because there's creativity involved with that soul map collage. It just feels fun, and it's very different to how I used to set goals and makes me feel very different. And therefore, it sets me up for a different kind of year. One more thing, actually, before we go. A lot of people like to choose a word for the year as well. And I sometimes do that, sometimes I don't. I find that the words that have really produced a lot of growth for me or led me to a lot of growth have been words that have come to me while doing this soul map intuitive collaging process. So while I've been connected to my higher self, the years where I chose a word like logically, consciously, of something that I wanted to consciously bring more of into my life, usually something like abundance or ease or something like that, they haven't guided me as significantly, I have found. So I think that's that's the difference between working just with your logical mind and working with your higher, deeper self. You just get more depth, and therefore a higher reward, more fulfillment once you follow that soul guidance and those soul nudges. So just a word on the word of the year to end. All right, now I'm rambling. This is what I do. I hope it's been helpful. Please leave me a comment and let me know if you do anything else to set yourself up for the new year. Let me know that as well, because I love to learn about new things too. Yeah, and I hope something in here was helpful, and I'll talk to you again in another video. Bye bye.